Hello there everybody, you're the audience, my name is SuperSonicBlur and welcome to a recap video here of the Pokemon X Randomized Nuzlocke. This is the first Nuzlocke that we've done on the channel, and I've done some Nuzlockes in the past, but they were loose ones that I never either finished or I never really followed the rules on, so I thought, hey, what better way to do this than to, record the whole thing and do it for YouTube, because it kills two birds with one stone. And while we will be continuing that stuff, I'm still working a little bit on some of those things, so for now, I'm going to go ahead and look back at what started it all off. But first, a quick recap on what things are. So a Nuzlocke. Shoof! Here are the rules. You can only catch one encounter per route, not including duplicates. For me, I also say that static encounters and gift Pokemon, they're usable and you can use them whenever. So for example, the Snorlax block in the road, I can catch that and then still catch something as an encounter. You gotta nickname every single Pokemon. For me, my nicknaming theme is almost always deities, except for my starter. And yeah, that's about it. Oh yeah, the most important rule, of course, if a Pokemon faints, it's dead. You can't use it anymore. Well, I say that, I also include another rule in my side of things, which is necromancy, as you can see here. So the basic rules on necromancy: when a Pokemon dies, you go drop it off at the PC or release it at the PC. Either way, at that point, I'm allowed to do necromantic practices, which is basically, if the Pokemon's dead, I can sacrifice two Pokemon whose levels total the same as the dead one to bring it back. The two that are sacrificed can never be brought back, and I can only have one necrotic Pokemon at any given time. So if, I don't know, say I have a Dragonite, it dies, that's level 30. I could sacrifice two level 15 Pokemon to bring it back. However, if I then also have a Deoxys that dies, I can't have it and the Dragonite alive at the same time. So if I want the Deoxys, Dragonite dies, and that's that. Also as well, because I can only do this when I would drop off a Pokemon, I can't just mix and match and throw all the other Pokemon and have just a team of 6 that are good. And I can only have one Necrotic at a time, so if I wanted the Deoxys, I'd also have to throw back the Dragonite. Still, that pretty much sums up the rules for the Nuzlocke and the Necromancy. Last little thing was randomizing. Because Pokemon X and Y are baby games for baby people called babies, we decided that we don't randomize everything, so it was a little bit more challenging. Randomized encounters, randomized trainer Pokemon, everything was randomized. Even the gym types were randomized. However, all trainers within the gyms would have a similar type, so a fighting type gym could become a dark type gym, and everyone in that gym would have a typing that's dark. It may not be pure dark, you could have dark poison, whatever. It's not really the thing, it's just they were randomized. But Pokemon evolutions, abilities, and types, they are all the same. So with that out of the way, let's go have a look and see how we did on our Pokemon X Nuzlocke. So after a normal morning in the Kalos region of being woken up to an attacking bird, being kicked out of the house by a mother into a dark endless void, and having to socialise with the neighbours, we make our way along Route 1 to Aquacord Town, where it turns out the professor of this region is offering 5 kids the lucky chance to experience what it means to be a Pokemon trainer, and offers us the choice of one of 3 Pokemon. Now to start this off, of course, the Pokemon starter. Very important choice here. We get the choice of a Caterpie, Bug type, good start, good early levels will get us through the early game. A Roggenrola, which is, it's a thing. I don't know anything about it. Or a Trico, classic starter, tried and true solid. Worst one of the 3 starters for the gen, but that's not the point. It's the best starter choice we have here, so we go ahead and grab ourselves Trico, and we name him Taylor Jr. So we start to head home to give the letter to our mother, and we end up having our first battle against Shauna. Now she only has a Jellicent to start with. It's a water ghost type. Perfect. We're a grass type, grass is super effective against water, so let's just go ahead and take this thing down. We only know Pound for attacking moves. Oh dear. And then it leads with Perish Song. Oh no. Then on the final turn of just us flailing around unable to do anything, before the count falls to 0 for either Pokemon, Jellicent goes ahead and uses Curse. Let's hope that's not ominous foreshadowing for things to come. But thankfully, since we don't have Pokeballs yet, the Nuzlocke hasn't started, so everything is fine. We are totally fine. We hand the letter over to our mother, who was all too quick to assume it was a love letter, and then she happily and somewhat eagerly boots us out of the house. in a new town, in a new region, with nothing to our name but the clothes on our back, a town map, and a Pokeball in our pocket. Thanks, Mum. We return to the gang, and here rival Serena teaches us how to induce Stockholm Syndrome into tiny defenseless animals. So with that lesson learned and several Pokeballs now in hand, the Nuzlocke has begun. Our first encounter here is an Ampharos. Fantastic, and ecstatically we catch this and name them Zeus, while also exclaiming, "You know what? I don't think we are cursed." Now, with a second member of the team in hand, we just do a little bit of switch training. Nothing too problematic, just enough so that Zeus doesn't get one-shot by Dragon Rage!
I don't think we are cursed.
There's a reason why moves like Sonic Boom and Dragon Rage are pretty scary early on. But what hurts most about this is the fact that I had 4 turns to get away from this. But no, I didn't do that. But now, with the blood of my starter on my hands, let's hope that these tears can wash it off. So after a paranoid stint of grinding, Zeus is now capable of standing on their own, and we head into the Santaloon Forest. Shauna decides here to do her best Cheryl but worse impression, and joins us to continuously stuff potions down our Pokemon's throats in between battles. So hey, look on the bright side, at least we don't have to worry about healing up now, so that's nice. But our main priority here is getting a second team member, Thor the Magnezone. Now, not only does the steel type make for a great encounter, but it also comes with sturdy. So now, I'm not gonna get one shot and lose another teammate. One rampage through the forest later, and we come down the other side, no worse for wear, onto Route 3, where we run into Minun. I'm starting to sense a pattern here with these encounters. Well, at least now we have some death fodder. Before we take on Viola in Santaloon City Gym, we take a quick detour over to the east to Route 22 to go ahead and grab ourselves Kraken, the modest Octillery. Finally! Not an electric type! The first gym itself doesn't pose any real challenge. Viola's Spinarak and Ariados go down, and we go up 1 gym badge. Our next stop is Lumiois City, where we meet up with the Professor's assistants, Cinna and Dexio, who kindly escort us around to meet up with the Professor, who, now meeting us for the first time, challenges us to a battle, but don't worry, he tells us he's not all that tough. The Professor's Pokemon in this instance, Celebi Victini Slowpoke. Yeah, not that tough at all. Thankfully though, we're able to take those down, no problems whatsoever, though scared at the fact that we still end up fighting 2 mythic Pokemon, and then he offers us a choice. Not the 2 mythic Pokemon and a Slowpoke, but a Vanillish, Sandile, and Horsey. Now, while the Horsey and Sandile are a mix-up, we're not taking the Vanillish. It's an ice cream, that's kind of crap. Instead, we end up taking the Sandile and naming them Sobek. We then head out towards the foyer of the lab where we meet Lysander, the totally not evil, definitely not plotting the end of the world owner of Lysander Labs. We do have our next route on hand, but before we head out to the next area, we do what any tourist in Paris would do. Wander around aimlessly and go into every store and coffee shop we see open. With our sightseeing done, we head on out over to Route 5 and are beset upon by some roller skating woman's Lucario, who seems to have taken a liking to us. I'm sure that won't come up again, so let's just try and ignore that and catch this giant floating plant thing. I mean, hey, at least it's better than Minun. Tierno challenges us to a fight, and after seeing them get thoroughly trounced, Trevor decides to give us some honey, which will be one of the best tools for later on, because every Pokemon in a Horde battle is randomized, so we get 5 options to choose from for our first encounter, not 1 or 2 like in a double battle, which is fantastic. It also makes grinding a little bit easier, but we have a limited number, so we're sticking to using them for encounters. After passing through Camphira Town, our next literal roadblock is the Snorlax sleeping across the bridge. So now we've got to go to Parfum Palace to corner a dog to give to a guy who'll give us the flute to give to the other guy to wake up the Snorlax to move that off the bridge. All not before Arachne the Venipede ambushes us along Route 6. With the path cleared, we can now move along the route and find Yggdrasil, the jolly Seedot, and get him and Arachne evolved. And oh hey, would you look at that? That's a shiny right there. Neato. Guess you're coming along too, Sleipnir. Serena decides that it's been far too long since she's had any screen time, so insists that we battle against the 2 T's so she can now show off her new Delibird, which instantly gets one-shot by Barbaracle. well, not my Pokemon, I ain't mourning anything. Through the connecting cave, we come out onto the raining coastal cliffside of Route 8, where Dexio and Sinner update our Pokedex, and then proceed to just walk away. Alright then, well, bye I guess. Kinda glad they weren't around to see me accidentally bite this Heliolisk a bit too hard, but, yeah well, I didn't really know what to name this thing anyway, so waste not, want not. We do, however, find a leaf stone here, so now, once Yggdrasil is a little bit higher level, we'll have a powerhouse in Shiftry, a Pokemon I have always wanted to use, and is something I am very much looking forward to a little bit later on. But before moving on to the second gym, we take a quick stop over at the Fossil Lab in Amberette Town, and we find out about a small lead on someone who may possibly know something about Mega Evolution, but they're out in the Glittering Caves. I guess we'll go out that way then. Deep within the Glittering Caves, we find this incredibly stylish and fashionable person who starts rambling on about some nonsense involving a flare or something. Look, whatever. Do you know anything about Mega Evolution or not? Because if not, I don't care. A few more uneventful trainer battles, and we come across said scientist who knows next to nothing about Mega Evolution, but does give Serena and I a fossil, so that's nice. Welcome to the group, Freya. On our way to the next city, we pass through the Amberette Aquarium, where this fisherman lets me have his spare rod, which lets us fish up Agni the Delphox on the shore of Silage City. A fantastic addition to the team. With the next gym in sight, we go ahead and get everyone in the party geared up and ready to go. Agni joins the fight, level 27, and along with everyone else, I had gone and spent probably way too long on the EV Trainer minigame thing to round out everyone's stats. So with a pocket full of soda pops and a team full of strong, nearly level 30 Pokemon, I was confident. Maybe a little too confident. In Viola's gym, I only fought the trainers I absolutely had to, but this time, I wanted to make a statement. I went out of my way to fight every trainer I could find this gym. This gym, as it turns out, was randomized into a dragon type. The first trainer started off strong, a tyrant which Kraken was able to deal with without too much hassle. Then comes in a Tyrantrum, who head smashes down Kraken without remorse. Oh dear. Now, not only did this Tyrantrum take out the Pokemon that I had intended to use to sweep through this gym, but they also now have quite the bulk on them, and I really didn't have an answer to them. Head Smash and Rock Wrecker both put Grover down into the red from full, and Vine Whip just wouldn't put a dent in this monster's HP. They do eventually go down, but it takes a lot of stuffing Soda Pops into Grover's mouth and waiting for misses or recharge turns. And that was the first trainer! Thankfully, the second trainer can't be any worse, right? Yeah, you have Latios. Okay! Well, yeah, that's okay. We can do with a single legendary. I mean, it's not... So that a Latia. You have a Latios and a Latias. Are you kidding me? Okay, well, look, in all honesty, these two weren't too bad to fight thanks to Feint Attack. But even so, I feel like this gym is cursed.
I don't think we are cursed.
Trainer number 3. 3 more Pokemon to get through, and the first of those is a Flygon, which has Roar of Time. Oh god, thank god it goes down without too much issue. Pokemon number 2, another Tyrantrum. And Grover's at half HP, oh Christ. I immediately stuff another Soda Pop into Grover's mouth, expecting to dance around like we did before. But it's the Tyrantrum who does the dancing. Dragon dancing. In my fight versus the Flygon, I had used Ingrain to get back some residual health, but I didn't know one small detail about that move. It stops you from switching out. Tyrantrum used Dragon Dance again. At this point, I'd resigned myself to Grover dying, and put out as much damage as I could, hoping that maybe the Vine Whips could help bring down this +3/+3 Goliath. And then, beyond all hope, it never actually attacks. Tyrantrum just set up to +6/+6, but never unleashed any kind of attack whatsoever. But if it had done, there was no one on the team who could take this thing down, and we would have lost there and then. Good thing the last Pokemon is only a Garchomp. Shit. Outrage and Rough Skin put Grover down to 18 HP after Ingrain heal, so it's back to trying to give a plant diabetes through soda consumption. After another tense time of healing and waiting for confusion to give us a break, this Garchomp finally falls. But we went through every single super potion and 9 of the 12 sodas to make it this far. We limp our way up to Grant, begin the fight, and guess who greets us? Yep, it's another Tyrantrum. Mercifully, this Tyrantrum is holding an eject button, meaning as soon as we so much as breathe on it, it throws itself out of battle and replaces it with the much tamer Axew for us to deal with. And by deal with, I mean barely survive through Outrage with Grover and then counter with Vine Whips. As the looming threat of the Tyrantrum returns, I switched into Zeus and planned on trying to get some defense drops with Rock Smash and maybe Proc Static so as to try and cripple this Titan, and that way the rest of the team could come in and finish what Zeus had started. But Jewel Chops forced my hand with this plan. Zeus was way too low to stay in, and with my brain thinking that Jewel Chop was a fighting type move and not dragon type, we switched to Agni, who manages to tank the hits and fire back the Psybeam that wins us our second badge. I would quite happily push you off the edge here and make it look like an accident, but it wouldn't bring them back. As we crawl back to the Pokemon Center, we are also now faced with a choice here. With the necromantic practices available to us, we have to make the choice here and now. Do we sacrifice 2 Pokemon to breathe new life into Kraken? Gazing over the boxes of what we have available, the choice becomes pretty clear. We exchange Hugin the Minun and Kuzenbo, the Slowbro we caught in the connecting caves, and bring back the Kraken. We learn a lot in this gym. Mostly how absolutely broken bag items are in fights, because there was 0 chance we would have managed to get through this gym if we didn't have those healing items. But with a battle-hardened team, we step off from Silage City and head north to the now knockoff Stonehenge, where the Team Flare people are skulking about, looking to pick fights with the 10-year-old kids that had already beaten them once. The Zapdos does give us a little bit of trouble here, but that was less due to it being a Zapdos and more due to the fact that I'm an idiot. But even so, we make our way up to the quiet town of Geosenge and then promptly leave, since there is absolutely nothing of value here and has no plot relevance whatsoever. Passing through the Reflection Cave gave us not only a bunch of somewhat annoying trainers, but also a Beldum for our encounter, and I was elated at this. Not only is a Metagross a fantastic powerhouse of a Pokemon, but it looks cool as fuck too. And let's be honest here, looking cool as fuck is the most important factor here. And the only issue is that Beldum's catch rate is 3, which is not only the lowest possible catch rate, but it's the same catch rate that legendary Pokemon have. So they really don't want to get in those balls. Also, the only move that this Beldum knows is Takedown, a move that has recoil. So we are on a very short timer to get this Pokemon. Thankfully, we do have 4 timer balls in the back of the bag, and with Paralysis too, we are able to buy ourselves enough time for the Beldum to chip its health down into the red and catch Vulcan, on the last possible try we had. After a brief stint of grinding and backtracking for TMs, we start exploring around the surrounding areas of the Shallow City, including Route 12, where a horde encounter of Dino, Phantom, Barbarical, Staraptor, and Snorunt turn up. With a second possible Intimidate Pokemon and an easy name choice, the choice was clear. Join the Pantheon, Horus! Trevor and Tierno meet up with us and let us know that the Professor wants us to meet up with some Mega Evolution Guru who lives around the area, which does make me wonder why the Professor hadn't come to see them sooner, but whatever. Let's head towards the large imposing tower that quite clearly has some plot importance. Inside, the guy known as the Mega Evolution Guru and Karina, his granddaughter, tell the 5 of us that we need a certain type of stone, this highly merchandisable bracelet, and the power of friendship to perform this technique. Luckily for us, this guy does just so happen to have one of these bracelets. But he has 1 of these bracelets. So Serena decides that, despite at least losing 1 Pokemon every single time we've battled her, she wants to lose more Pokemon to us. 3 dead Pokemon later, and the Mega Ring is ours. Almost. First, we have to go and take on the gym in this city that we keep getting told about. So, we swap out Yggdrasil and Thor in favor of Grover and Vulcan, who now isn't only a Metang, but also actually has a usable move pool. First things first in this gym, we really have to try and figure out what type it is. So we cautiously approach the first trainer to try and get some clues about what this fighting type is randomized into. We end up finding out that it is randomized in its fighting type gym still. But no worries, we skated our way through the trainers and challenged Corinna, whose Pokemon still get swept through thanks to Agni being a perfect counter to her entire team. With this victory in hand, we can climb to the top of the Mega Evolution Tower and finally unlock the secrets of Mega Evolution. Corinna and her 2 Lucario await us there, and with the help of one of the 2, we can finally perform Mega Evolution and fight alongside a glorious Mega Lucario named Ravan for the first time, and then watch as immediately they get walled by the Mega Medicham. Yeah. But on the plus side, we can now Mega Evolve. That's a thing. We head back into Route 12 where this guy happily hands us a free Lapras too, which is pretty awesome. And who am I to look a gift water horse in the mouth? Now, did I plan on using them as an HM slave for Surf and Waterfall? Yes. But did I love them as much as any other Pokemon? Yes, I did. And then we run into God. Hi there. Yeah, even with an 8 to 10 level advantage, it's still God. But thankfully, we take them down without any casualties, so we can frolic in the Skiddo fields with glee and Earth power? Oh no. You just killed Thor. Well, this is what I get for being so happy about earlier, isn't it? This one stung a lot. Thor was the second member of the team and had been there as our trusted fallback when things were getting rough. But a single crit is all it took to smite Thor down. We bring out Vulcan to fill the steel-type hole in the party and somberly frolic through the fields towards Garchomp City, where Serena FaceTimes us to let us know that that's how it feels to lose a beloved Pokemon, you bastard! And also that she wants a rematch outside the 4th gym. We briefly meet the professor on the monorail station who gives us Fly and some musings on Mega Evolution, alongside the movie star Diantha who promises us a battle next time we meet. Yeah, like that's ever gonna happen. That's a movie star. When are we gonna run into them again? Speaking of battle though, we've still got a challenge to answer to, so let's go get that over with. Serena found herself another Smoochum and Sneasel to replace the last 2 dead ones, but also a Volcarona this time around to round out her team. Hey, at least there's a new corpse to add to the pile now. And while we might be right in front of the gym, we take a quick trip down to Route 13 just in case the encounter might be something we want to use, but TLDR, it was a Fion and it wasn't. But the trainers on Route 13 did offer us something more valuable, and that's the XP we needed to turn Sobek into the mighty Krookodile. Our team just got a massive power spike in terms of raw power. Now we can take on the 4th gym, and having not learnt my lesson, I decided I'm going to take on every trainer in this gym. But this time it actually goes well! The ground-type gym, with a few too many Torterra, ends up causing Horus no trouble thanks to Fly and the Skyplate we found just outside. 4 down, 4 to go. On our way back down through Route 13, Sinnet and Dexio update the Pokedex again for us, but also mention something about a power outage and the roads being blocked, which, while absolutely not something I want to get involved with as a 10-year-old, it is acting as a roadblock, so I guess it's time for this 10-year-old to go become an electrical engineer and fix the world's problems, because nobody else will. We enter the power plant, and surprise, surprise, it's Team Flare who's involved with this problem. No worries, we stopped these goons before, so at least there's going to be a good source of XP for the team here. Reasonable. X-Scissor with... No, Yggdrasil! No! Yggdrasil was so close to getting to 47, and then we would have evolved them into the Shift Tree. But no, this stupid pufferfish took that chance away from us. I didn't even want to come here in the first place, but now I have a reason. With Yggdrasil's corpse fueling the fire of our rage, we tear through every single grunt in the building. Legendaries and pseudo-legendaries be damned, nothing stood in our path. Aliano and the rest of the Team Flare scarp us from the power plant, and power is restored. We've saved the day, and all it cost us was one mighty oak. Next up on our checklist is the north side of Lumiois City and the 5th gym. The team goes on another training montage in the Battle Chateau, putting them all up to level 45, which also means that Vulcan has evolved once more into a Metagross. We also give Kraken a rest and bring out Poseidon instead, to just act as a slightly bulkier tank. Clemont and his Psychic-type Pokemon did throw us for a little bit of a loop, but thankfully, Sobek still knows Crunch, and even though there's a Metagross on his side, we get a clean sweep through his 3 and get to move on and never mention just how many tries it took to get some of those stupid questions right. We We take a quick drop into Lysander's cafe, where once again we hear more musings from Lysander, who is definitely not a bad person and has no ill intentions to the rest of the world, before slowly just backing out and never talking to anyone about it, and heading up to Route 14, where we meet with the rest of the group. One brief trudge through the marshland and we find ourselves in Lumiois City, which, honestly, it's more like a village, but it's the next stop on our gym badge collection, so we gotta stop by. Not before we take a quick wardrobe update and casually fish up a Rayquaza we name Kukulkan. We make our way into the gym and find that this gym is a rock-type gym. Though it could almost pass for a fairy-type gym since nearly every trainer has a Carbink or Diantha, or both, which isn't too bad. However, there is only one teeny tiny little issue with that. 4 out of the 6 Pokemon on the team are weak to rock, but that's okay, it's not like I called that or anything. Our type coverage is pretty good as long as it is not a rock type gym. We will be fine. Despite the poor type matchup, the most difficult issue we ran into was trying to navigate the damn place using those warp panels, so we ended up taking on every trainer in this place, but eventually, we find the right path to take on Valerie, who, just like every other trainer here, has a Carbink and Diantha in her team, but at this point, we're used to these, so the 6th gym badge is now ours. Before we can leave though, we spot some mishaps happening on over at the Pokeball factory involving Team Flare, so we do what any 10-year-old in this world seems to do and go and put a stop to their plans. However, this time these admins mean some serious business. This Volcanion poses a serious threat with a solid type, as well as dishing out a huge ton of damage to the team. We send out Sobek to try and tank a Sacred Fire, but not only does she get crit, but she also gets burned. And at this point, I had no idea that burn cuts your attack stat in half. So with a naive hope, I click Bulldoze and watch as the Skull takes down Sobek. Boris is able to come in and finish them off, but we still have 2 more to deal with in a double battle alongside Serena, who thankfully takes most of the aggro from the last remaining admins. The group leaves happy with their haul of stolen Pokeballs, and we pick up the Master Ball and Big Nugget as a reward, but still, we have a difficult choice to try and make. Do we send Kraken back to the depths in order to bring Sobek back? We'd need another 2 sacrifices as well, and the cost might be steep, but it's a choice I was willing to make. Kraken had been superseded by Poseidon, but nothing had been able to replace what Sobek had brought. We exchanged 2 more Pokemon and returned Kraken to the dead box, forever to remain there, to bring back Sobek, and we head towards Dendermill Town. One small detour, and by detour I mean getting slightly lost along Route 16, and we arrive in the snow-crested Dendermill Town. Professor Sycamore and Dexio meet up with us here to give us some vague information about the legendary Pokemon of the Kalos region before we head up further north. With the local mammal swine sensing some kind of disturbance in the cavern, we head on in and encounter a Hoppip, much to my misplaced disappointment we name Jumkash. Turns out that Team Flare has some other scheme involving harassing this Abomasnow for some reason. I don't really know why, but either way, me and the not Serena here take out both of the grunts and admins without any issue. Still no idea what they were trying to do, but hey, I guess we did a good thing here. After coming out of the mountain, I decided to do a spot of grinding just to get most of the team up around level 50. And this is when I looked back over at Yunkash, who, as a fully evolved Jumpluff, had a surprisingly good set of stats. With the moveset Acrobatics, U-Turn, Sleep Powder, and Sword Stance, there's a lot of potential for a sweeper here, and also just general assistance in catching Pokemon. So, for the moment, we'll let Horus take a break and try out Yunkash, as we head out to the east on the backs of this Mamoswine, towards Anastar City, where, once again, we are challenged to another battle by Serena. Well, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. Another battle, another 4 corpses to add to the pile, and with that, Serena tells us what we already know. We're strong enough to take on the 7th gym. And that will be our first major test for Yunkash. And I'm still not really sure what this gym type is. It's kind of a mix of grass and bug types, but then the later trainers seem to have some actual psychic types. But either way, any and all of them just end up falling to U-Turn's damage from Yunkash. But with little to no issue on the way to facing Olympia, that fight goes the exact same way. The first 2 bug types fall to a single Acrobatics, and even with the fear of a Jinx coming in, a single fast U-Turn gets them out of danger for a clean sweep. We exit the gym and barely get a moment to bask in our glory before Lysander, that guy with totally no ill intentions towards the rest of civilization, broadcasts a declaration of his and his team's ill intention towards the rest of civilization. Does this really seem like something that a group of 10-year-olds should be dealing with? I mean, nobody else even seems to want to try and stop them, so I guess we're the only ones who care enough to even try. We fly back to Magenta Plaza to check in and see if maybe Lysander Cafe might just have some kind of front to it, and find that, hey, this cafe is in fact just a front for a Team Flare hideout, where Lysander goes ahead and meets us right at the entrance for a fight, and he does not pull any punches. His Poliwrath survives the acrobatics and then retaliates with a freeze dry, knocking off 2/3 of Yumkash's HP. But thankfully we're still faster, so can you turn out for the kill, but the Thunderous into then a Zapdos was daunting. But we come away without any casualties. Despite how everyone else acts after a Pokemon battle, Lysander does not immediately stop doing what he is doing, and instead tells us that if we really want to stop him, we'll need to find an elevator key somewhere in this lab. Well, I guess I know what we're doing for the next half an hour. We end up meeting up with Aliana again, and I wanted to see just how well Yumkax could sweep her two, yes, only two, Pokemon. A Turn 1 Sleep Powder put Lipod to sleep, and while I could have hit this thing at any point, I decided I wanted to go ahead and set up +6 with Swords Dances. So we get to +6 attacks, and then the first thing this Lipod does is not only wake up, but also hit us with that 4-time super effective Icy Wind. Which, in my panic at seeing and then elation at seeing us survive, I didn't notice one very crucial detail in that move. Icy Wind lowers your speed stage by 1, which is enough to let Lipod outspeed and take down Yumkash. There was zero reason or even need for that death, so the hubris and weight of that is mine and mine alone to bear. So instead we just tear down the Lipod and find a Dialga looming in its wake as if to mock me even further. And it's at this point I once again must question, is there nobody else here who has any intentions to try and stop the destruction of everything we've come to know and love? No? Oh, well, I guess not Sinnoh and not Dexio do. Maybe? Let's just find this stupid keycard. We find Celosia and Bryony, and after beating the two of them, we end up with a nice big exposition dump on what exactly Team Flare is up to. Something about energy, something about a Pokemon, the ultimate weapon. Look, do you have the keycard for me or not? Eventually, we find Mabel off on her own and finally get that elevator key, and we can get on through to the next level of this lab, which takes us to this prison thing with this one guy we saw earlier on, and oh hey, would you look, another interesting story, along with the impression that this guy is some 3,000 years old? Well, okay then. Lysander struts past us, telling us to follow him down to this room with 2 buttons. Either the weapon stays dormant or activates. And this all comes down to a coin flip. But why would I push the button? If I don't... Look, game theory, mate. Game theory. If I push neither of the buttons, then I have a 100% chance of not activating the machine. If I push one of these buttons, that is a 50% chance that I don't activate one of the machines. Given the fact that we don't even know what the other options are, there is no reason for... Yeah, alright, fine, I'll push one. I choose blue. Winner, winner! Congratulations! But I'm still going to activate the ultimate weapon. Well, looks like that was nothing more than a big waste of time, but hey, we're being screamed at to go to Geosenge Town, so let's fly on over there and head towards that area where we once saw that one flare grunt walk up. Oh, hey, Serena is also here. I guess she can show up and maybe be useful, unlike in the lab. We walk on into the hideout, and once again, Lysander stands to welcome us and challenge us once again to a battle. And once again, despite us winning with ease, he doesn't play by the rules of stop doing the bad thing if you lose the Pokemon battle, and is still planning on using the weapon. After several very scary double battles with Serena, we almost lost Vulcan and Horus, and with a little help from Shauna of all people, we find ourselves face to face with the great legendary Pokemon Xerneas, which, thankfully, I have come prepared with a foolproof plan to take on. What we're gonna do is let us throw the Master Ball. Why? Because I'm not fighting this thing. There's no way I'm fighting this thing. And with Xerneas tucked away safely in our PC box, Lysander comes out for a third and final time, but this time with a Mega Manectric in his back pocket. But we have a Sobek with soft sand, so one Earthquake, even through an Intimidate, is still able to tear it down. So in a Strop having lost 3 times in a row, Lysander uses the power already stored within the weapon to fire upon itself, thus destroying it and saving the day. Hooray! Now, back to collecting my gym badges. On our way over to Courrier Town through Route 18, we grab ourselves Dudian, the Aromatisse, who, much like Yumkax, my initial disgust over this encounter is somewhat misplaced, but it's a surprise tool that will help us later on. Once in Courrier Town, the professor meets up with us to go ahead and challenge us to a battle, which I was caught off guard by, having not healed before this. First up is that Celebi versus Agni. Flamethrower put it in the red, but the ancient power does exactly half of what we had left, meaning that staying in is a precarious choice for the next Pokemon. Oh, and that next Pokemon also just happens to be the Victini. We bring in Poseidon, who is able to bring it down, leaving Sycamore with only a Slowbro. And it's at this point where I made another mistake. I knew Arachne was super effective against Psychic, but I couldn't remember if it was the bug or the poison, and rather than just take 5 seconds to look it up, I just go ahead and rip the poison jab, and then get one-shot by Psychic. Whoops. Now I've got to try and figure out what the hell I'm supposed to replace Arachne with too. Well, maybe the Pokemon we find in this town could be an option. Well, it's a poison type, I guess. At least we got U-Turn here to put onto Horus, so we can also finally get rid of Double Team, which means we can Intimidate into U-Turn, switch into Sobek, and get a second Intimidate off. So that's nice. After a brief stint of grinding up, Loki the Garbodor and the rest of the team are all neatly up to around level 55. I had also looked into the idea of if we could possibly get more honey anywhere, but alas, you cannot buy honey in this game, and Duden would need a heart scale to relearn Sweet Scent, but I used the only one I had on Sleep Powder for Yumkash. We trek down across Route 19 and then come to the infamous Bridge of Runenders. 3 back-to-back fights with 0 time between, and 2 of those having no healing between them. So no healing, no swapping team order, no replenishing moves, nothing. And I just haphazardly blundered into it. Shauna is up first, a takedown in cast form which is fairly well walled by Vulcan, straight into Giratina, which starts off with Curse. I'm getting flashbacks here. But thankfully, the cut to its HP means we can take it down, leaving just a Spiritomb to deal with, without too much issue, but Vulcan is also now too low to really switch in. Up next is Tierno. The Archen is put into Defeatist within the first attack, so it's not a threat to anybody. Tyranitar brings in a Sandstream, and while imposing looking, Sobek and Earthquake sweep it aside, leaving just the Lily to contend with. I go ahead and bring in Horus for 1 fly, which with a Sky Plate, I thought that'll sweep it okay, no problem.
Ooh, and now it's using Power Gem. This might hurt. Ooh, 16 buffeted it by the Sandstorm. Please don't die.
Okay, so slight problem, but that takes Tierno out. Finally, and thankfully not before a heal, it's Trevor, who is a complete joke, aside from his Thunderous. But with the Waterfall TM in hand, we walk into the crisp, cool air of Snowbell City, head up to the doors of the gym to take on our final challenge, and the gym leader is out right now. Why can't we ever just go and fight a gym? After way too long getting lost in the winding woods, we end up in the secret Pokemon village, where Wulfric happens to be. He heads on back to the gym, and we will too, but not before bringing Circuit the Nidorino with us. And the best thing is, we already have the Moonstone to get the Nidoking straight away. Sorry, Loki, but, well, you are a literal pile of rubbish, so yeah, get in the box. While leveling up everyone to a comfortable level 60, I also did some more digging in on getting a heart scale and found that there was at least 1 more that I could find using the dowsing machine on Route 8. So with that second heart scale in hand, this unlocked a far faster method of farming since I can now use Sweet Scent for 5 fights at once. With our team prepared, it's time for an icebreaker introduction to this gym. And it's a Dark-type gym, which we don't have a whole lot to hit super effectively with, but even so, we make it to Wulfric without any issues. As for the fight with Wulfric, well, leading with a Sneasel feels appropriate, but 1 U-turn takes them down without any issue. The Weavile then again leaves without any trouble after chugging the potions, and the final Sneasel falls just like all the others. I have Serena to thank for all the practice one-shotting ice types. With all 8 gym badges in our pocket, we have our sights set on the Pokemon lead. However, along Route 18, we did pass by an enticing area, which I did want to explore at least a little bit before we finished things off. And I am so glad that we did, because this horde included my favorite Pokemon, Klefki. Yes, I said my favorite. No, I am not ashamed to say that, because this little dragon killer with a big root that we grabbed earlier on means that with Draining Kiss, Calm Mind and Thunder Wave, there is a lot of sweeping potential here. Portunus, you are the key to our success. We head on over to show the Gatekeeper that we are indeed capable of challenging the League, and so take the first steps up the long, winding victory road to atop its great heights, where outside the League, Serena catches up to us one last time for one last rival battle. And like all the ones before it, Serena's Pokemon pose little more than a slight bump in the road before the 5 final challenges we face. This is it. What everything has all been building up to. 22 hours of video content plus all the grinding and editing comes down to this. The Kalos region's Pokemon League. Win or lose, this run ends here. Agni, Vulcan, Horus, Poseidon, Serket and Portunus. It all rests with you. We ignite this challenge with Mulva in the Blazing Chamber, and it's a little bit anticlimactic. It's a Deerling, a Torchic, a Pumpkaboo, and a Hoppip. Okay, so maybe that one setting in the randomizer, which forces fully evolved Pokemon after a certain level, should have been switched on. But either way, 1 down, 3 more to go. Before our second battle, we enjoy some more philosophical musing on what constitutes an art form with Seabold. But a battle is what we came here for, and a battle is what we shall have. They start off with a strong lead in Azumarill, but Poseidon is able to tank the superpower and Thunderbolt down Seabold's first Pokemon. The second, weaker Marill falls in the exact same strategy. Carbine gets swept away, and Klefki is able to easily set up 2 Calm Minds and one-shot Curlier with the Draining Kiss. Halfway through this Elite Four, and I have this uneasy feeling in the back of my head. This has gone way too smoothly so far. No real threats, no real challenges, easy. It's just been 8 pretty weak Pokemon. Drasna is up next, and those thoughts are immediately dispelled as Dialga steps out onto the battlefield. We U-turn our Horus to predict a Dragon-type move, and this lets us get Klefki in for free, but even so, Earth Power deals well over half our HP and also gets the special defense drop. To make matters worse, Draining Kiss barely does anything, so we have to devise a quick plan here of pivoting between Horus to avoid the Earth Powers and Klefki to get through the War of Time PP. Well, at least we can try and chip this thing down. After enough switching back and forth, Dialga is now low enough to where a close combat from Horus is enough to finish the job. Oh, thank God. Oh, wait, there's a second Dialga coming in. Pressure has left us with 4 more U-turns available to us, so we don't have the option to chip away at this one. Also, this one has a completely different moveset, so now we have to try and dance around finding out what this one could hit us with. After a little bit of trying to guess what possible moves this second Dialga would go for, we are eventually able to switch things in to where Vulcan can take a Power Gem, and then we can hit back with an Earthquake. The move that, up until the Elite Four, I'd been unsure if I'd wanted to use. Well, I'm glad I did it. It doesn't quite kill, and the Earth Power takes us under 50 HP, but Vulcan has this in the bag, because Vulcan is holding a Metronome. Metronome boosts the power of a move if it's the same as the previously used move by 20%, and this stacks up to an additional 100% damage. 2 full restores later, and the second Dialga falls, and Earthquake is boosted by 60%. The third Dialga suddenly doesn't look so imposing to us. Thanks to the Metronome boosting damage, the last remaining PP on Earthquake is all that's needed. This Dialga goes down in 1 shot before it can even attack. The Skarmory is nothing more than a short victory lap, and with that, we have 1 last member to fight before the champion. Wickstorm starts off with the Doublade, a strong Pokemon for sure, but Portunus really didn't get a chance to shine in the last fight that much, so it's time to let them cut loose. With Paralysis buying us time, we can Calm Mind up to +3 special attack and take down the first Doublade. We do the exact same thing on the second one and get all the way up to +6, letting us get fully set up to fight the Aegislash and Pumpkaboo without any issues. Portunus got to sweep something after all. Now, all that remains is to head through the Radiant Chamber to meet with the champion, Diantha. I guess we'll be having that Pokemon battle after all. Unpheasant for her lead pits bird against bird, so we U-turn into Poseidon to get us into a better position for an ice beam as they charge up a sky attack, which crits, but Poseidon stands strong at 100 HP, taking down the first Pokemon. We switch into Vulcan to meet the Relicanth, and we begin our metronome earthquake train again. First the Relicanth goes down, next the Sawbutt goes down. No wait, that's grass type, never mind. Horus, can you come in and finish this for us, thanks. We bring in Serket, who's not had a chance to fight at all to take on the Fracture, but due to the 25% damage drop from Rivalry, the Ice Beam just barely isn't enough, and Serket eats a crit outrage before they can take it down. The Cradilly, though, is the same gender, so with that 25% booster damage, I thought that Serket could stay around and take it down. But the Cradilly is just too tanky, and Serket falls. Horus finishes what was started, and it's now all down to the final Pokemon, Diantha's Mega Evolution. It's Kangaskhan. We hold the line with Horus and go for close combat. It puts Kangaskhan into the red, and I thought this was the end for Horus, but they managed to avoid the Mega Punch, and with that, we have enough time to get Horus out while Diantha heals. Agni eats a crunch, forcing Diantha to heal a second time, but that buys us all the time we need to switch back to Horus to get off a second Intimidate, which buys us more than enough time to get Portunus in to start the Drain Train of Pain. It takes a little bit of time, but the Mountain Mother falls, and we are the Kalos Pokemon Champion. This was a really fun start to getting back into content creation, and honestly, it's kind of what I'm doing now. I've been away for a little bit of time, and so this is really the kick in to go ahead and get things rolling again. That said, we are also going to show a sneak peek at what we're working on for the next series, and that is going to be Pokemon Renegade Platinum as a hardcore Nuzlocke. So yes, if you are looking forward to that, then do be sure to stay tuned. Like, comment, and subscribe for more, and to share this stuff so people know that it exists. My name has been SuperSonicBlur. You know, it's been a fantastic audience, and I shall see you all next time.